What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Rewind, where we break down the Sunday morning message here at City of Light Church. My name is Julius.
I'm Derek.
And I am Dina. And this week we are continuing our series, Functional Family, with our topic this week being about blended families.
Speaking of blended families, talking about how to work people together from different families to make a family. We were talking, especially with the holidays coming up, we were talking about and wanted to ask you guys out there about blended food, about, the meals. How do you prepare your plate? Let us know what kind of food you like, what you like on your plate during the holidays, or even outside of the holidays. What do you allow to touch, to blend, and just, Julius was talking about sweet potatoes and macaroni and cheese. Tell him about it.
The yams.
The
and
yams, sweet potatoes.
Sorry,
I said the wrong word.
That makes a crazy combination. And then also, because you talked about food pairings outside of, like, holidays, milkshake and French fries.
Oh, yeah. That's a good pair. That's a good blend.
Fan? Yes,
Yeah.
Milkshake and French fries. That's like top tier.
I'm not a big McDonald's fan, but you get a McFlurry with the French fries. My goodness.
Sweet and salty, man. That's it right there.
Oh, my goodness.
What about you, Dina?
Okay, so on my plate, the food can't be touching, but I might do my own blending when I'm eating it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't mind the dividers.
Like poke here, poke there.
Yeah. I don't mind the dividers.
You don't want the green juice touching the yams and the. No, you don't want that.
No.
Some people like the green juice just sitting all at the
I
bottom
know,
of the plate.
but like, why?
It's something about the whole. It's one plate. It's not multiple dishes. It's one plate. Like this is one entity. Just like how a blended family should be, right? You make it one entity. We're blending. We might be bringing in different people and different things. Like this isn't who we grew up with or something, but we're coming together and we're figuring out how to make this one unit, right? Just like Pastor Brian was talking about that blended families, talking about we talk about Abraham with Sarah and Hagar and having to deal with the son from another woman and having to figure out the best way. It didn't really work for them. So it was kind of an unhealthy example. You know what I'm saying? But how do we learn from that to where we can learn how to, and like Jesus, not necessarily being the son of Joseph, and having siblings, that were from them and, learning how to deal with that kind of stuff. What you think?
It was interesting. I didn't know that Jesus had half siblings, and so as we were talking prior to this, as we were just saying, we just think about Jesus, like just Jesus himself, and he actually came from a blended family, and how he was able to handle that, and he came to serve others, and so you can only imagine how tough that is when you're in a blended family. But your job is to just help everybody. No matter if, I'm related or he's related to them or not. But he came from a blended family that I know that could probably create tension. There can also be challenges,
having to deal with them issues.
Yeah, having so many different siblings, different personalities. You never know how they feel towards you, if they accept you because you're not, from the same, at least the parents.
So what did that 30 years look like? That's what it really makes me think about. Like, cause you know what I'm saying? Like we didn't really get to know Jesus until it was time.
Right.
Jesus was like, I'm here to bring the heavens down.
Yep.
But them first 30 years, what was he really going through? Being a sibling, being a son, you know what I'm saying? All of these real life issues he had to deal with. I thought that's a good and shout out to all the oldest siblings. Jesus was the oldest.
Hey.
Oldest. Shout out all you. You're not really cool if you're not the oldest. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I think the two examples that Pastor Brian used, because it was just so dysfunctional with Abraham and Sarah and Hagar. Like it was just so much, and there was so much tension. And I think having Jesus and his siblings, and even though we don't see that relationship, there are scriptures in the Bible where it's like, oh, well, I'm the brother of Jesus, and they'll explain that in scripture and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think that even that allows blended families to be redeemed. Like God is like, your family, your blended family can be redeemed because Jesus came and he came for that.
Yeah. Sarah brought Hagar to Abraham. Abraham was like, bet. He said, bet. Like there's already issues, Abraham, that you were so willing to just be like, all right, let's go. Let's have this child.
Yeah.
So
and it's like the oh well, let me help God.
Right. Yeah.
Let me help God.
Need no help, man.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
And that's definitely what Pastor Brian was talking about. But we had a special guest this past Sunday, Simone Kilgore, and she broke down a lot about blended families and about how to be healthy, not only in blended families but families in general, and how to make yourself healthy mentally from your experiences. So check out this first clip, and we're gonna get into it.
Oh, it could be difficult. I think we've been taught, especially in this country, to look for that sweet spot where everything is perfect. I get married at this age. I decide to buy a home at this age. I have 2.5 kids, a dog, a cat, and a fence, right? And then my mate, whoever that is, right? I didn't even mention that first, did I? So hear me.
Nope.
Hear me. We have ideas, minus a partner, about what we think our life should be.
So I think that's where the dysfunction and the dysfunctional family starts.
Before the family even happens.
Yeah, it's in your head. It's in your head. It's your expectations. It's your ideal whatever that you're looking for, whether it is a partner or buying a house or having kids or whatever, you know what it is? Like it's just all in your head. Yeah. And that's where the dysfunction starts because that's what we're expecting out of life.
Our expectations mess up the blessing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're expecting so much. Or this is how it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be. When I'm this age, I should be, when I'm 30, I should have this. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's like we put so much expectation based off of some American dream or something that was set into us at an early age where now we look at it or like a woman will expect a big wedding, and if I don't get this big glamorous wedding, then it's not what it's supposed to be. Or a man expects his woman to look like this or do this or act like this, and if she doesn't do all of those things, then it's a failure. And it's like, but you gotta adjust your thinking and learn how to take things in stride as it happens, as they are, and kind of learn how to adjust to what's happening. Mm-hmm. Because if you go in with all these expectations, man. No, you're failing already and having your starting.
Right.
Take the words out of my mouth. You're failing already to have expectations. And I feel as a young person, why do I want to put that kind of pressure on myself anyways to be like, oh, I need to be married by this age or have this type of high-paying job at this age? I feel like that creates a lot of stress that is not necessary when at the end of the day you need to be present where God has you at. And not trying to focus on, and I understand, we all have goals, we all want to accomplish things, but in due time, there's a time and a place for those things to occur and happen. And that as we're in our waiting period, I would say we got to focus on where we're at because, you start to try to plan out your life. It's like, I don't know where the scripture is exactly, but I know it's like, I have thoughts, but the Lord guides my steps. And so it's like we can think of all these things that we want to happen, that we want to take place, but at the end of the day, God has a final say-so as far as what he's going to allow to come and happen into our lives and what he's not going to allow. So
our thoughts aren't his thoughts.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I know I've had I want to be at a certain place at a certain age and I'm not there. I don't want to let that, beat me up or feel that I'm just not where I'm not good enough, because that's not the case at all. It's just that we're all on our own paths, and and sometimes the path that we think is just not what God has intended for us. Yeah. And so it's just kind of being comfortable and obviously trusting God where you're at in your life and being able to know that, okay, this isn't meant for me, but I'm still going to be faithful in what you have given me, God. And I know that this is where you want me to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to be aware of these things that you want and these things that you desire, and even knowing like, okay, by this age, even if you don't like psychologically and just like in your head, just noting these things, because when you aren't aware, the enemy can attack you. Mm-hmm. And it's all up in your face. You're scrolling on social media. If you want to get engaged, if you want to get married, it'll all be there.
Yeah.
Like look at all your friends who, look at all the holiday movies that are coming out, the Hallmark movies that are coming out, right? Yeah. Like it's in your face.
Rom-coms.
Yep. if you want to buy a house, all the realtors will be up on your feet. Let's be honest.
Right, yeah.
Like, oh, come buy a house. Like honestly, like the enemy will just use that to trigger you.
You say one thing about shoes, and now they got every other scroll is a list of all the shoes on sale. Yeah, no, I mean it's like definitely social media ruins. I won't say ruins, but it can ruin sometimes your outlook on your life, and because you want what you see. Like you said, I want that relationship. I want that house. I want those shoes. So the things you talk about, the things that you think about, these things start to pop up and start, like you said, now the enemy's messing with your mind because it's like, oh, that looks good. That's what I want. Like, you don't want this. You don't want what I have, and because it's not for you. It's like and I don't want what you have because it's not for me. Like,
right.
God help, like this is what our prayer needs to be all the time. It's like, God help me to seek after what you want for me, what you have for me, because what you have for me is way better than what I think I want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think she mentioned that too as she was talking. She was like, you got to talk to God about what you want, because when you talk to God about what you want, he'll help you understand that it's not what you need though. You know? So, but it takes a lot, because all of this preparation that we're going through, getting ready for these families or for what life is bringing us, is now leading into all of the problems you're going to have now after, after you have a family, after you start these things in the next year.
She said, I don't want you to ever forget that your first ministry is in your home. I don't care how you serve here, what you do here. It's a beautiful thing to see you all serving. But your first ministry is in your home. That means how you wake up, how you greet yourself in the morning, because I learned that, to greet Simone first, right? To talk to God. That's my time. But also how you wake your children up, how you connect with your partner or spouse in the morning, some of the things you do in your neighborhood in the morning. How do you wake up and make sure that you're intact so that your day can be led in that way?
That clip is good. Right after that clip, she made a statement about healing doesn't end. Healing is continual. And like, I think, and then towards the end of what she was saying, she was also talking about fear. And I just think that all plays into it. Like, we are so fearful of that journey of healing, because healing doesn't end. Like, you're always healing. And we get so intimidated by growing, by changing, by being better, that we just stay the same. But not realizing all that we're doing, like she was saying, is now coming from this hurt place, is now coming from this traumatic experience, is now coming from everything that I'm dealing with, and this character that I've created based off of my experiences. And not realizing how I'm affecting, and how now that's the generational issues that we now deal with, is that from generation to generation to generation, you don't even realize what you're dealing with, based off what your mom was holding back, what your dad was holding back, what their parents was scared to deal with, what their parents were scared to deal with. Now you have so many levels of unhealed wounds that now you have to carry. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we got to give ourselves a chance to at least start the process, to at least try. So not only for ourselves to be healthy, but in order for our families, our blended families, whatever kind of situation you're in, to be able to prosper, and to first focus, like you said, like she was talking about before, waking up and dealing with yourself so that you can properly deal with your family, so then you can go out into the world and be a benefit. Like, she spoke to that a lot. Like, how are you benefiting this situation? How am I benefiting my marriage? How am I benefiting my children? And then how am I benefiting the people that I'm with during the day, whether I'm at work or whether I'm serving at the church or wherever I'm out doing? How am I benefiting that? The first thing I can do is to give my pain over to God and start healing.
As the old saying goes, hurt people hurt people.
Man.
So if we decide to live in hurt and carry out our day in hurt, we're not doing anybody justice that we're surrounding by, because all we are doing is taking our traumas, our experiences, our pain, and just passing it over to the next person without really looking inwardly at ourselves and taking better care of the problem or the situation. And I would say one of the first things you got to do is just forgive yourself. And like you shouldn't have to carry that kind of that pressure, especially if it's from generations before you that has come to you. Like you have to forgive others. You have to forgive yourself, and understand that the past trauma and the pain is the past.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Yes, it's a part of your story, but that isn't your story. That isn't.
It doesn't
who
define
you. Are currently.
Yeah.
And we talked about this a few weeks ago with shame.
Yeah.
And it's like shame isn't. It's not saying something is wrong with me. You might have made a bad decision, a bad mistake, but that doesn't say I am a mistake or I am a bad decision. No. Right. And so it's getting out of that negative mindset and just really going through the process of healing and acknowledging where you may have fallen short, but not living in that moment, but striving to do better and, start your mornings off better, like you alluded to, Derek. And so that's something that really sticks out to me, is just not to carry those burdens on you for forever, for so long, because that's not how God has intended for you to live your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, transfer of trauma is so real.
Yeah.
Generational curses is so real. But yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what you guys have said about like you can choose to say I'm going to heal.
Yeah.
You can choose that. And it's not going to be easy.
Never.
Because that process of growth and change is different. Because if all you've known was anger, if all you've known was pain and hurt, and this is how I'm coping, if all you've ever known is that, well, in this last relationship or with, like that's the good tension between me and my parents or me and my kids or whoever, right? Like choosing to change is hard. And I think there's a lot of tension in that too, because it's like the analogy of like you being rooted, right? Like you coming out of the ground is like you're breaking through.
Yeah.
And there's pain and tension in that too.
Not
but it's you want to be able to heal in order to pour into others. Yeah. Exactly what Simone was saying.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how else to say it. Like we have to keep healing ourselves, and if something happens, to choose to learn from it, to choose to grow from it, to choose to heal, forgive ourselves. It's an ongoing process.
It's definitely this conversation with her. I definitely appreciated how she was able to explain it, because it challenged me and had me ask questions about myself. What fear do I have?
Yeah.
What am I scared to do to get better? Do I need to consider therapy? Do I need to consider in order to be a better version of myself, in order to get past those things that I know from my childhood? You get what I'm saying? Like I know how my father acts, I know how my mother acts, and I can see it in myself. How can I be a better parent? How can I be a better? Because I know they did their best, but what can I do? What can I do to be better for myself? How can I do that? So what things can I do? God, help me, lead me to be able to deal with these things, so I'm not taking it out on my children. So I'm able to practice what I preach. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just preaching stuff to my kids, but they can see me trying to practice it. You know what I'm saying? So for everybody out there, I'm going to connect with you, because for me, I need to figure out those things. I need to figure out what I need to do to get past this fear so I can begin this process of healing. Like I've gotten to a certain point. I've made it to 31, and I'm looking at my wife. I'm looking at my kids, and I'm like, what more does my wife need from me? What more could my kids benefit from me if I was willing to take one small step towards growth, towards being better? So I challenge everybody to look in the mirror and to consider that, to pray, to talk to God, and what's one step I can take to better heal myself, so that I can help along the healing processes of the people around me, and benefit my family, and benefit the people that I work with, benefit the people that I'm friends with, the relationships that I have. So everybody out there, just continue to challenge yourself, continue to ask God for the guidance to take those steps, and then I just pray that everybody has a fantastic evening, everybody has a fantastic weekend, and I hope this conversation was a blessing, and we love you. We can't wait to see you next week. God bless.